Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. Today we are starting things off in our mushroom island again. Some things may look a little bit different and may seem a little bit strange, and that is because I have made a decision recently that may be a little bit interesting. Maybe some people will like it, maybe some people won't, but in all honesty, most of you probably won't really care that much. And the decision is that I have decided to stop using BSL shaders for now. The reason for this is mainly just for one real reason, and actually that was because of performance. Now, I'm not having too much performance. I have a relatively beefy computer and I am handling BSL and running BSL just fine. But the issue is that I was constantly running the world at 10 chunks rendered, and I just found it to be a little bit too low for my liking. You know, a lot of my island is quite big, and a lot of the stuff is a little bit further out. And honestly, when I put it up, the frames drop quite a bit. You know, I would end up having somewhere in between at like 40, maybe sometimes 50 frames a second, and it just seemed a little bit laggy, especially when I'm recording and streaming and stuff. So I've just decided for now we're going to go ahead and step away from BSL shaders. I may be back in the near future once they release the full version and it runs a little bit more stable and it runs smooth. If that's the case, I'll be back to it. But in the meantime, I'm actually still using a shader pack, but I'm keeping things a little bit more vanilla this time. So instead of using BSL, we're actually using Solder's enhanced default. And I really like this as a in-between. I don't like any other shader pack besides BSL, and if we're going to keep things vanilla, let's keep it as close to vanilla as possible. And in this case, we're sticking with Solder's enhanced. So I hope you like it. I hope you don't find things to be too weird. I'm sure you'll probably adjust, or again, I'm sure you don't really care that much. But I thought it'd be good to give you guys a heads up. Now, moving on from the whole shader situation, I think there's actually a more important thing that I want to address on this episode, and that is that we have reached episode 30, which is a huge milestone for me. Not one that I thought I would be hitting. I didn't think I would stick around for that long, but hey, here I am 30 episodes later, and honestly still going strong as far as I'm concerned. Now, what I want to do before we get too far into things is maybe just do a little update on this video. This may end up being a really long episode, mainly because I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I'm either planning or have set up for this episode. So let's run through some of the more basic stuff first of all. I think the first most important thing is probably going to be the farm from last week. So if you watched last week's episode, we did a brown mushroom farm. I have now decorated and things are looking a little bit nicer on there. So let's have a little look. Now, this is the entrance. Things are a little bit plain right now. I haven't really had time to decorate it. I didn't really have too much of an idea of what I wanted it to look like. So this is just a basic entrance into the mushroom farm. You have our nice little hallway to enter in through. And basically things are just like basically dressed up into a room now. I've gone ahead and added in all the quality of life features that needed to be put in here, e.g. shulker loaders for the bone meal, which I don't have a huge amount of. So I've put that in there along with the return station for the empty shulker boxes. I've also got the storage for the brown mushroom put in. There's not a lot that you see in here, mainly because I've been using it for stocking up this little center. So what I added into this whole system was a facility to restock my mushrooms when I'm AFK here. So you can see I've got enough mushrooms to probably last me way more rounds than I'm actually able to do once this storage fills up. So, you know, this place is looking really nice. I think it's really well put together. I like the fact that it's a room now. I think if you remember from last episode, I said I was going to attach this into the tree farm area, but unfortunately, due to the fact that I built this so far, and I built where the entrance was supposed to be on this side, as opposed to flipping the whole thing, you know, 180 degrees and having the entrance down on that side, I can't attach it over to the tree farm entrance. So yeah, that's kind of one of the changes that I've made. Another adjustment that I made, speaking of tree farm, is actually to the tree farm entrance. Now, some of you may remember or may not remember, the tree farm entrance was actually built in somewhere over here. There was a note block I would hit that would open this this little piece on the side. But actually, I ended up getting rid of that. And the reason for this was because, honestly, there was a little bit of an issue with with kind of like the return station for the saplings and stuff. I didn't really have a whole bunch set out for how I wanted it to look. So what I've done now is instead of having the entrance up there, I've added it into the collection system for where the TNT blast chamber and the concrete maker is. So if we come down here, we've now got an extra exit to the bubble elevator. We come down here, I've now added in sapling stations so I can get all the sapling types, which actually came in really handy when I was doing some of the island stuff, which I'll show you in a second. And so yeah, this place is looking really good. And now we've got organizations for sticks, for apples. We've got all the tree types with all the saplings, and I've also added an overflow situation. So if we have too much of this stuff, it will just be burnt into a bucket of lava. Coming further in through here, I've added a few more quality of life features. Number one being an input for bone meal, so I can add in shulker boxes of bone meal here now, and instead of having to refuel the thing regularly, I can go ahead and just chuck in bone meal boxes and we're all good. And this is the return station for all the boxes, any ones that I emptied out, I've got here. There is one more thing I want to add, which is an indicator that shows me that I'm running low on shulker boxes on the farm. Because if I run completely empty, I then have to restock one box from the get-go manually, which isn't the most ideal thing. But I think long term the idea is to stock this thing up with so much bone meal that I never really have an issue, but we'll get back to that another time. So coming over to this section now, you can see I have added a weird switch. So this is now the new on-off button for the tree farm, and this is the entrance for the tree farm. I now make my way up through the bubble elevator, and then I can drop down in through here instead of coming in through the side entrance. And so this is a weird on-off switch and probably quite elaborate and quite useless, but I really like it. This is something that me and YouTuber Asta Zora had a little fun with. So what it basically does is I hit the note block, you get a nice little sound that goes on to green, and then that means the farm is off now. So it was just a really cool indicator kind of lamp, and it's more of like a don't forget idiot, you need to turn off the farm before you leave, because I will more often than not end up leaving things on and then they end up getting ruined or something, you know, weird redstone things happen. So this is just like a really nice indicator for things to work, plus also cool sound. Okay, so going up into the farm to kind of give you the idea of why I even did this, you can see here that we just got a small room to walk through when we get into. I've ended up adding this doorway in here. The reason is, so basically the idea of why I even revamped this farm was to actually get a collection system for all of the saplings. Before, all that was happening is it was just spitting everything out into like the middle of this room, and I would just stand here and anything I didn't need would basically end up getting despawned. So now instead of that, I've got two hoppers here, so I can AFK. I'll fill up my inventory with blocker items. I'll put in my saplings in my hand here, and then all the sticks, apples, extra saplings that I don't need, they'll all be sent into the system. Basically how a tree farm should be. And I've done a little bit more decoration around here just so things look a little bit cooler. But other than that, the tree farm still works the same. It's actually probably a little bit more efficient because the way the piston elevator kind of works. But I'm not going to get too much into that, but you can just know that this system's running slightly more efficiently, and now with this it's actually collecting all of the things that I technically need. And so yeah, so things should be running a little bit nicer around here. The second more notable thing around the island is that you can see that I've actually basically done almost all of the landscaping as far as placing trees and bone meal goes. So you can actually see that almost all of the entire island, please ignore the mob farm happening over here, almost all of the entire island is now filled with birch trees, and I've even started filling in the smaller mushrooms, which is, where are we, like mushrooms like this one, and the one I just flew into. You can see I'm actually ended up filling in a bunch of those into the island. I've still got more small ones to go, and then obviously we're going to start populating them with the bigger mushrooms eventually as well. And yeah, so this is something I ended up doing on a live stream over a few days, 2 days I think it was. And now you can see the further out you go, almost the entire island, or actually the entire island, is now birch tree populated. Also, in doing all of this, I found one of my friends, the rare moor, which I had captured quite some episodes ago, and I had lost, and I didn't really know where he went, and I found him kind of stuck in a hole somewhere. So now me and him are back together once again. Also, this guy, who I still don't really trust him all that much, but you know, he's sticking around for now. We're gonna have him around just for a little bit longer. We'll make some decisions as to whether he's gonna stay or not in a little while. So as far as the island is concerned, I think the progress so far has been pretty substantial. I have done a good amount of work around here, and yeah, so far I'm pretty happy with this. And once I add in more of these big mushrooms to add more lighting around the place, it's going to look really good. So I'm quite looking forward to that. Speaking of Twitch, please make sure you go into the description down below, check out my Twitch channel, give me a follow, and come join me on live streams. It's good fun of doing usually just some chill stuff. We listen to some nice music. We'll play some trees around. We'll try and do more chill stuff like digging and stuff like that. So it's always a good time. And once in a while, we'll do some live redstone as well. So if you're interested in something like that, make sure you go ahead and give me a follow. And for the last update of the video before we get on to the real work of things, I want to show you a questionable farm that kind of shows a little bit of my laziness today. You see, I've been working non-stop in creative, making farm after farm after farm, a lot of which you'll probably see the beginnings of, you know, towards the beginning of this episode, or at some point in this episode, or maybe in the next one. But I got so annoyed of actually making farms, I decided that one of the farms that I needed to make, I'm not going to make, and instead we're basically just going to make a giant field for. So this is my nether wart farm, or just a big slab of nether wart basically at this point. I needed a bunch to get started on our potion brewing system, and I didn't really have the energy to keep doing R&D for nether wart farming. There is a farm by Il Mango out there right now, which is a really good farm, but unfortunately you need a world download for it, which he didn't provide, and I needed to then recreate it if he wasn't going to give it to me, which I couldn't be bothered to do right now. So here we are. We're keeping things a little bit more manual. I'm just waiting for this whole field to grow, and then I replace them. So far, actually, I did about 2 harvests, and considering, it's not too bad. We're about 5 shulker boxes in. I actually do think once we end up filling all of these shulker boxes up, I may never need nether wart again, or potion brewing at least, ever again. But we'll probably still be making a farm in the future. This is just a quick update to show you how weird and kind of spectacular this looks. It's a bit weird to have this in this location. I probably should have chose a better location to build this in. Maybe even underground in my mushroom island would have been a better idea. But here we are, and yeah, things are looking good. So here's the plan for the episode today. The first thing we want to do is take on a project. So we're actually standing away from potion brewing today. We might build the brewer, but I don't want to be doing too much with the potion brewing side today because I want to take a little break from the potion brewing. I think the idea at the moment is to work on a project that I've been working on in creative, and that is my nether hub. Now the nether hub is one that I've been working on for quite some time, and the thing is in order to get building the nether hub, which I'm not going to show you yet, I'd rather we leave that for when we actually do the build. In order to do that, we're going to need some ice. How much ice? The answer is basically yes. Because in order to build some of the design for it, we still need to have a bunch of ice. But in addition to that, we're going to be having blue ice roads going everywhere that come off from the nether tunnel. So we're going to be needing basically a whole bunch of ice. So you may be thinking, oh, so ice farm is something we're going to be working on. And yes, that is absolutely the case. Now, there was a bit of a weird issue that I had recently where I was working on an ice farm myself. In fact, let's go into creative and show you what I was trying to work on at least. So this is an ice farm that I was trying to work on by myself for quite some time. Now, it's a really, really cool concept. Unfortunately, due to the fact that there were some inconsistencies with the machine that I'm using, it just didn't really work out the way that I wanted it to. Now, as far as size is concerned, it is relatively small. Unfortunately, the output for this is only kind of around the numbers of like, I would say 9,000 ice an hour, which isn't that great when you consider the amount of redstone and stuff used. I tried to optimize it, change things. So originally when I made this design, it was significantly bigger than the one that you see in front of you. And that gave me somewhere around the lines of 11,000 ice an hour. But it was so much, it was almost twice the size as what you see, but we're only getting, you know, another 3,000 ice an hour from it. And it just didn't really work out in my eyes. I didn't see it to be profitable. And there's one really weird inconsistency from this. So you see this thing runs on a flying machine that you stand in, and then you would basically leave your clicker on, and then you would be pushed sideways into the ice. Would destroy all of this bottom layer of ice over here, which is usually around 4 to 5 blocks per slice. And then you would come all the way around. As you return back over here, the system would reset, push all the ice back into position again, and then you would basically just go in a circle. And then when you came back here, you would dock for a few seconds whilst you repair your tools with some bottles of enchanting, and then you'd be sent off again. Very cool design concept from my side, and I thought it was really nice. Unfortunately, it was taking up so much of my time to try and get it to work properly and efficiently. I ultimately just decided that I'm going to go ahead and step away from this from now. I'm going to build something that I can use a bit more for now, just to get things going on other projects. And maybe we'll revisit this one time, you know, maybe in the future. But for now, I think we're going to put this one to rest. If anyone's got any ideas what the issue is, that the main issue that I'm having is that when I'm being pushed along with this machine, in some cases, you would not insta-mine the ice for some reason. It would happen so irregularly, it didn't make any sense. So you could do a few trips around. If you missed a couple blocks here and there, eventually it'd end up breaking the machine, because it would end up pushing the ice out into your path of breaking, and then you'd either fall out of the machine or the machine would get stuck. If anyone knows what the inconsistency is with that, maybe it's a lag spike, maybe something like that happens. I couldn't figure it out, but ultimately, because of the fact that it was running on redstone, it would and could break. So I guess the question is, what did I end up going for instead of this ice farm? And the answer is Nembon's ice farm. Now, originally when I saw this farm, I thought I didn't want to use it. I don't like this ice farm because it's big and, well, it's kind of manual. Also, it only really gave you, I think after an update of 1.13, he said that the rates were closer to about 13,000 ice an hour, which, considering the size of it, didn't seem like it made too much sense. So what I did was I was having a little look around online and seeing if there was any solutions to that, and seeing if we could make things a little bit more efficient for what we were looking for. So after doing a little bit of research, I saw a video by a YouTuber called Experimental Idea, and he basically made the farm a little bit more efficient by making the return rate of the ice 100% efficient. Now, I didn't really want to go into the concept of what he did, because he basically made the situation where you would at some point stand on a pressure plate, and then the ice or the waters would be pushed into one direction, and it was a whole thing, and it didn't really make too much sense to me. So I thought, what's the lazy way of making this work a bit more efficiently? And the answer to this was basically hoppers. Lots and lots of hoppers. You may be wondering, first of all, isn't this a bit weird to have this many hoppers in one location? Yes, it is, but number one, I'm playing on a single player world where it doesn't make a difference, and this is also mostly not going to be loaded most of the time anyway, so it's not like it's going to make a difference to the performance of my world from what I know. So it doesn't make a huge difference, and when I'm using it, it's not laggy enough to make any issues, so it was perfectly fine. So what does adding all of these hoppers in do for this ice farm? Well, essentially, it makes it 100% efficient, and by that I mean every ice that you break gets sucked up into the hopper before it ends up having a chance to either fall out or come into your inventory, as long as you keep things kind of blocked in. So if you can block up your inventory, make sure you got your food in your offhand and your pickaxe in the other one, then you can insta-mine this and it should pick up every piece of ice. So by doing this, what you've ended up doing is making the return rate of the ice similar to what it was when he first released the ice farm. So now, instead of getting the 13-ish thousand that he mentioned in the new update, you now end up getting 18-ish thousand just by adding in these hoppers. I've also increased efficiency just a little bit more by, instead of having the water tunnel that pushed you back into the beginning again, which used to waste about a minute or so, I think you would waste just kind of standing in a waterways, pushing yourself slowly back towards the beginning. you now have a minecart return system, which gives you a nice little easy ride all the way back to the end, pushes you back into the same position where you should end up at, which is somewhere near this piston, and then you end up back in the waterways. And same situation, you can continue using the system exactly how it was supposed to, item frame and all. If you haven't seen Nembon's ice farm, I would highly advise that you go and have a check out of it. I will probably be releasing this as a world download for anyone who wants something a little bit more efficient, but ultimately the main part of this comes from adding hoppers underneath his ice farm. So no crazy redstone here, maybe something that you guys can make the adaptation on yourself. And in addition to those, I've gone ahead and added some shulker loaders for the ice. I've got a input system for everything, including the snowballs, food, pickaxes, and you get your return of broken pickaxes through this system here. I've also ended up adding my very own shulker crafting system that I have in pretty much the entirety of my world, and it works perfectly fine with no issues. So this is now the new setup for the ice farm we're going to be building, and step one today is going to be, even though we're probably about 20 minutes into this episode, we're going to be building a perimeter, or we're going to be building a large hole for this to kind of sit in, and we're going to get things started. So I've already found a frozen tundra where we're going to build this. It's actually one that I picked up all of my frozen tundra villagers from. So we're going to go ahead and find ourselves a space to build this, and let's get creating a massive hole for this thing. Okay, so quick change of plans, or slight diversion from the original plan. So we're still going to be building the ice farm, and that's all going to be well and good, but we need to do something else beforehand. Now, I haven't mentioned this already, but I used to have an iron farm somewhere on my island over here, and well, it kind of became a bit of a waste of time, and it was really ugly, and I wanted to get rid of it, and I just didn't want the whole iron farm around my island, and I wanted to have it somewhere else I can AFK at and spend a few hours there, get all the iron that I need, and then just kind of have, you know, just not in the same vicinity. So I have been doing some stuff on creative, and I have kind of borrowed a design from Logical Geek Boy. Now, I'm not usually one to borrow designs wherever I can create my own one, but iron farms are so oversaturated on YouTube, and videos are, you know, have been so well researched at this point. There's not really too much point in me doing my own research. So after having a little look, I've decided to go for a quick portal farm. I'm not going to do a full breakdown for you, but let's just go have a quick little peek at it. So this is the iron farm that I've ultimately ended up with. Pretty straightforward design. I'm actually going to build this in the overworld. Logical Geek Boy built his one in the Nether, I believe. But yeah, we're going to be building this. It's a pretty straightforward design, mostly just going to be, you know, platforms with portals, and then you go to the other side and you have a killing chamber here, which all the iron golems die on. I'll collect all the stuff on the roof of the Nether, so on, so on. The interesting point about what I'm planning on doing with this now is I actually want to build this relatively close to the ice farm. So actually, I think in a way to AFK at two farms at the same time, because there's actually two things I'm going to need a surplus of, probably a lot of, in this series, which is iron and ice. Ice, obviously I already explained, ice roads, nether portal farm, all that kind of stuff. So ice is going to come in really handy, and so is iron. So I'm going to build this relatively close, and I'm going to build this first because I just checked the schematic for the ice farm, and I've realized I'm going to need about 86 stacks of hoppers, and I don't have any more iron left. Well, I do have some iron left. It's not going to be enough for the build, and obviously I'm still going to need some in the future for other builds. We're going to build this up first, that way we can AFK it and gather some iron whilst I'm building the ice farm. So I guess it's time for preparation, and by preparation I mean gathering food and some beds, because we are going to build multiple, and I mean multiple, villager breeders. And the idea is to build this basically right next to the iron farm and the ice farm. You see right next to where I have planned in the snowy tundra, we've got a village. So the idea is I'm going to build that up. That's going to give me enough to gather the villagers there, and I'm basically just trying to keep things moving on like a perpetual motion. I want to have the villagers breeding whilst I make the iron farm structure, and I want to have the iron golems, or the iron, being stocked up whilst I'm making the snow farm or the ice farm. Without further ado, I'm going to get some of the modules made, and we'll be back once I have done that. All right, so the villager breeders have been built. Everything is looking pretty good if you ask me. We so far have 2, 4, 6. I think we got another third one in there, so we've got 8 altogether. I've got a 9th one just sitting over here with us, and 2 more should make the first layer worth kind of basically pretty much done. Obviously the real issue here being, which is we kind of need 4 times that. And the other issue obviously is we still need to build the first layer of the farm, and then the most important thing is that we need them pillagers. Now I'm gonna go I don't want to extend this episode on for too long. So my idea at the moment is I'm gonna go and grab these pillagers. Maybe you guys can catch a little sneak peek of it or something through some clips, but I don't want to run through too much effort with you guys. Obviously the thing here that's gonna happen is I'm gonna go to the pillager outpost. I'm gonna see a couple of these dudes. I'm gonna name tag them, put them in a boat, and then we're gonna bring them back here. So here is either a clip or an apology from me for not recording it. Either way, we'll be back here again once we get all the dudes together. So with the dudes rounded up and ready to go, there was nothing really left here but to start building the iron farm. And I'll be honest, I did most of this on a live stream and it worked out really great, and it was pretty straightforward design. I did actually end up making some tweaks on there, which actually ended up giving me a few thousand items more an hour, and actually made it so that I used a lot less obsidian than I originally thought. The thing actually worked out really well, and so you know what? Here's the time lapse. Enjoy. We'll catch each other on the other side once we got things going. This absolute beauty of an iron farm. Look at how lovely it is. Stupid piglins. Sorry, piglins everywhere. But yes, this place is looking absolutely spick and span. Although actually, having said that, it doesn't look all that great, obviously, because it's just kind of a bunch of portals everywhere. But you know what? This is a super efficient, nice iron farm. Oh my god, look at this Enderman griefing. Sorry guys. Looks like Endermen seem to have some sort of issue around here with placing blocks, and they have done a lot of block placing. Although I've been AFK here, or this place has been AFK'd for many hours now. I think like maybe like over 24 hours, I think. So I think the Endermen have had their fair share of making things a bit difficult. This might actually explain why my rates have kind of slowed down all this time, which is a little bit annoying. So yeah, I think I'm going to be considering turning off Enderman griefing in this world because, well, I can't be dealing with this stuff. But anyway, the farm is done. Everything's looking good. I don't need to get into the specifics of how things work around here. You see iron farm, yeah, iron golems go through portal. Everything works out good. But yeah, everything's looking great. Everything seems to be working fine. As I mentioned, I've been running this farm for, I think, over 24 hours, almost 36-ish hours now. And yeah, let's go back into the nether side, and let's have a little look and see what our progress looks like, because I think you guys are going to be pleasantly surprised with the amount of progress that we've made. So we make our way over here to the nether side of the iron farm. So you can see here quite a bit of redstone kind of banged together. Some of it I'll explain in a second. But ultimately, I wanted to keep the design aspect somewhat iron farm / ice area. So I used a little bit of packed ice. Whoops. Okay, my terrible flying skills are making this not so good. But you can see, yeah, as I mentioned, everything is kind of like within theme of the iron / ice farm area. But yeah, everything seems to be working fine. So I've done like I said, I mentioned, I done roughly around, I think we're reaching like 36 hours of AFKing so far. And yeah, we've got quite a lot of iron from this. And just to show you, so we got this shulker box here, which has, that's 10, sorry, this double chest that has 10 shulker boxes worth of iron blocks, which I've crafted up. And we've got quite a few more in the system so far. So all I've done here is basically make a nether side collection system for the iron, and the iron is being pushed through some filters into this double speed shulker loader, and then all the shulker boxes are initially going in straight to the crafting system, and then any extras will be put into this double chest here. You can see that the double chest is empty because mostly I've crafted most of them into blocks, but I think the hopper line, yep, so we're up to here so far. So all of these hoppers, including that dispenser right there, is absolutely full, and one more just actually came through on the system as we were doing that. So you can see we have quite a bit of iron so far. I think I'm actually going to probably go ahead and turn this off now because I don't think I need any more iron. I kind of wanted to do like a 2-day straight of iron farm AFKing, because that should be more than enough for the ice farm, and then probably more than enough to keep me satisfied for throughout a good few more months of this series. So anyway, this is a shulker loader system that I made, that I've had in quite a few locations around the world that you've probably seen. And ultimately, yeah, I originally had it all going into double chest, and then I built the crafting system, and I was like, probably just makes more sense just to have it funnel into there and then overflow in the back. Potentially in the future, I will put something around it, but I think for now, I'm kind of happy with it. And yeah, so I think we can go ahead and wrap another project up as nicely done. Unfortunately, the sad thing is we never really got to get around to the actual ice farm today. And well, I'm actually quite glad about that, because I have the ice farm that I showed you guys, which is great. It's the modified version on Embon's one, and I also showed you guys the one that I kind of failed at, that didn't really work out how I wanted it to. But I think I've got a way to make the new one, or my version, work, but it's going to take a little bit more reworking. So I'm actually going to go ahead and pop into a test world later on today. I'm going to see if I can try and make things work, and if I can, then great. We'll probably be building that one if I can get good rates and it works out well. If not, the plan is next episode, ice farm will be preparations and things to do, and we might actually do some other work around the island as well. Maybe do some work with Subscriber Island and stuff. You know, the plans are always open. I also do have so many other plans that I want to do. Like, I want to make the Nether hub. I want to start working on my end base and destroying the end islands, which means I need to fight the dragon probably 19 more times. As for now, all I can say is that we're going to wrap the episode up here. It's been a bit of a long one. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please make sure you hit that like, subscribe, you know, all that good stuff that makes things work. Tell your grandma or your uncle about it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.